Let's talk supply chain.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Supply Chain. I am so excited for this episode of Women in Supply Chain. But before we get there, let's get to a question because we always have a question for you, and we'll let you know the answers at the end of the show. So today's guest works for leading parcel shipping intelligence platform Reveel. But what is the total value of savings they've created for their clients? Well, I'm going to let you know at the end of the show. So let's get to know our guest for today, Gina. So Gina has over 37 years experience in supply chain and logistics. She's led process and cost improvement projects for mega brands, and I can't wait to hear more about it. So welcome to the show, Gina. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good. I'm so excited because we're here on site at the Women in Supply Chain Forum, and we get to know a little bit more about you and your journey in supply chain and logistics. And so why don't you start off by telling everybody who you are and what you do?
Thank you. So Gina Anderson, as you said, and I'm with Reveel, VP of Strategic Accounts, and 37 years in supply chain. It's a long journey, but what I get to do on a day in and day out basis is really help companies run their supply chain with their parcel more effectively with data and analytics and visibility, and just really get to change the way they get to work every day.
I love that. And I've gotten to know you over the last couple of days, and you are such a fantastic advocate of women in the industry, getting us together. You got us together last night. And I just want to appreciate and acknowledge you for that because I think it's so important for us to do that for each other. Now, you've been in the industry for a long time, but can you take us all the way back to the beginning? Because I want to know, like, where did you start? And how did you get into supply chain? Did you fall into it like me? Because I kind of fell into it.
Yeah, someone early on took a chance on me. So
Nice. Tell
completely
us
fell
about
into it.
that.
Ron Barker, God bless. He was one of those people that just saw something in me, said he wanted to bring me into his freight forwarding business to do sales. So I said,
Ooh, I know what that's all
yeah.
about.
So I said, well, what does that look like and what does it pay? Because, back then there wasn't,
Visibility.
glass ceilings to break at that
And
point that I
probably
knew
not a
about.
lot.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot, but he lured me in. And I remember sitting down and talking with his CFO. And I was like, oh, what's a CFO? Like it was one of those really, yeah. So we're going way back on that.
Mhm.
But quickly learned what freight forwarding was, supply chain. My dad was a longshoreman, so I knew a little bit about,
Ooh, okay.
yeah, so I knew a little bit about,
It's in your blood.
yeah, yeah.
Love that.
But then, quickly learned freight forwarding and then saw that there was something bigger and just continued to explore and journey through that, understanding that, one thing that is always constant is
Mhm.
change, and not only with supply chain, but with me personally. And so would continue just to try to find ways to grow in corporate America, expand my business acumen was huge. I'm a self-proclaimed parcel fanatic, but I'm also a seeker, and just always looking to grow myself and continue to find ways to do that from
Awesome.
anywhere from 3PL to 4PL to my own consulting practice.
I hope
So,
you're okay with this because you keep talking about this, but you keep saying Gina 7.0.
okay.
Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah.
Why do you say that? Because I think it's important. You talk about reinvention, right? That's been a big part of your journey. So talk to us about why that's important and what do you mean by Gina 7.0?
Lucky number seven, like I said last night. 7.0 and the reinvention piece, if you stay stagnant, in my opinion, then it's
Mhm.
going to be really hard, I think, to be fulfilled.
Right.
Some of those reinventions came because I was became a mother, right?
Hmm.
And so I had to pivot. So I find that now being at 7.0 and this seventh reinvention really is about me taking it with the industry, because I've stayed in this industry my entire career, technology being one of those reasons. So about 5 years ago, I tried to get on the tech side of supply chain, once with Geodis and building out their final mile. But also now with Reveel and their software. So 7.0 really is just those journeys of reinvention that I found and kind of followed the industry.
Hmm.
Technology, like I said,
I
being
love
one
that.
that I
Because
want to
for,
take out.
for women who are in the beginning stages of their journey, right? Try to take some time and figure out what it is that you want to do. And if you pivot and you go into something else, I mean, stay in supply chain.
Yeah.
But if you go into another area of supply chain, it's okay. Now, one of the things that you did do is you started a consulting firm, I believe. Tell us the name of it. Why did you take the leap into going into your own business? What was that like? And then you pivoted back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
can you sort of take us through that journey?
Yeah, so that was Savii Group, and it was really powered by purpose. I wanted to help companies drive efficiencies within their supply chain, but then also take part of the money that I was helping them save and reinvest that into their people and social good.
Hmm.
So that was another pivot, is that I was
Mm.
super excited to see how brands could really take um, found money that I'd helped them find and reinvest that in their people and social good. I also did that
Love
when
that. Make an impact, people.
yeah.
And you can
And
do it in several different ways.
well, and that came through inspiration. Again, that's another reinvention to go
Uh-huh.
off and do that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do the corporate grind at that point in time in my life.
Right.
And having kids and being able to create something that was purposeful
Hmm.
and impactful was really a game changer for
Hmm.
me. And I was able to do that surely out of passion and finding other people that were passionate about that. So sometimes you want to find your tribe, and your tribe could morph into something different
Yeah.
at that time and space. So definitely advocate for people to take advantage of that.
Hmm.
And then with getting back into corporate America,
Yeah.
I fell into that because Geodis was looking for someone to help them build out their last mile. They had an app,
Hmm.
and that was during COVID. So great time to go pivot back into corporate America. And then now with Reveal over a year, it's been great because again, staying on the tech side of supply chain,
Yeah.
but now with the software, that's a game changer. Yeah.
But I think also, taking that leap, is not easy. A lot of people look at entrepreneurship and they're like, oh, I'm just going to go and start my own business. But what they don't realize is pipeline,
Yeah.
right? You got to keep that pipe always full.
Network,
So
network,
you're
network.
constantly networking
Mm.
and selling and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's always that to-do list,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yes.
Always that to-do list.
Yes.
But it gave you, I think, some flexibility at a time in your life where you needed it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Was it around the time that you had the kids and
Yeah, and but also I think I needed the break
yeah, the break
from
from corporate America. I get
well,
that.
yeah, and
Especially if you were in sales and freight forwarding. Sorry, I'm just
yeah,
gonna say, because that is
it's tough.
tough.
It's tough, but it gave me the grit, and it gave me a pound of pavement. I mean, it
Mhm.
gave me the real school of hard knocks, so
Right.
to speak. But I also think that even though I'm where I'm at now, and it's been that journey,
Mhm,
it's always had something that there's always something that's been fulfilling with that.
mhm,
And I think if you pay attention, you'll know
mhm.
when it is time to pivot, when it is time to take a passion and
Ooh.
reinvent. And you know, having an entrepreneurial spirit isn't easy. It's not something that everyone has.
Right.
Also, recognize if you do have it because it could be something that could be spectacular on the other end of it.
So, what should people listen to? Like, what is that thing? Because you just said, you'll know when when you're able to pivot. What is that breadcrumb? What should they be looking for, thinking about, listening to? Is it their gut? What is it?
I think it's knowing what's going on in the industry that you're in and being able to have a passion and pivot towards that is really, I think, the basis for it, especially if you have an idea and you have people around you that can support you
Yeah.
and advocate for you, and take your idea or take something that is even perhaps a skill set, a product, a service, and build that team with you and have that support system.
Well, and I think networking has been really critical with your career as well. You're kind of a natural networker. There's a lot of people out there who might not be natural networkers, but I believe that it is a key to success in a successful career, in a career that you want to elongate and, move through the ladder. What advice would you give to somebody who may not be as natural as of a networker as you are, but about the importance of it and how they can really go in and do the networking?
So we see each other at a lot of conferences and
Yes,
trade
we do.
shows. So that is the best place to go because you're put into an environment where you
Mhm.
have to network. You just
Yeah.
have to. But I would say some of that is just understand that you do have value and you're interesting, whether you think so or not,
Mhm.
and ask a lot of questions and be curious. That's the best thing about networking
Mhm.
is if you can stay curious, then you're going to be asking people about them and they're going
Yeah.
to tell you and you're going to get to share. So I'd say networking is really about being curious.
I have an example, a recent example. So I was at the airport and this lady had a backpack on and it said supply chain. And I walked by her and I was like, wait a second.
Back
And
up.
I turned around and I was like, I looked at her and I go, supply chain? She's like, yes. I was like, oh my goodness. What company do you work
That's
for?
right.
And
Yeah.
she worked for Arm& and Hammer
Oh,
in
wow.
supply chain. And
Wow.
she's like, yeah, our company puts supply chain really big on all our stuff. I was like, no, it's a good thing
That's
because
actually a good
yeah.
thing. I like
And
that.
so I was telling her about Let's Talk Supply Chain and our Woman in Supply Chain series. And she's like, I'm going to download it for the plane.
Perfect, right?
But see, these are the little
Yeah.
things that you can pick up on.
Mhm.
And it doesn't even have to be high. You can just be yourself and be a little bit goofy and be like, supply chain.
That's it. That's perfect.
And
And
then
that's it. I mean, that there's no secret sauce to it. It's just
Mhm.
being curious, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I scared her, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
All
I
right.
mean, don't
She
do that.
she signed up. That's okay.
So you went to the tech side and you're in the tech side now. What kind of keeps you busy now? And, for those folks that aren't in the tech side that are maybe thinking about going to the tech side, what do they need to know these days? What do they need to think about when they're working for a tech company within supply chain? Because there's a lot of things going on,
A
right?
lot going
There's
on.
investment,
Mhm.
there's hiring, there's, also redundancies, and there's
Startup.
mergers and
Yeah.
acquisitions, there's startups. What do you think they need to know?
So uh, it was a 5-year journey for me to get where I'm at right now. And what excites me is because there's so many dynamics going on with AI, machine learning, advanced data analytics,
Hmm.
really using AI as a force for good. And that's what's so exciting about Reveal and their software. Also, there's a lot of legacy and antiquated systems out there. There's a lot of believe it or not, really big brands and shippers that are still using Excel, Power BI,
Oh,
Tableau,
hmm.
and one little cell that's off is wrong, and
Hmm.
it's
What version are we on?
yeah.
Is it version 58? Because I'm not sure.
So what to look for is be on the cutting edge if you're going to go down the tech
Hmm.
route. A lot, and again, being in parcel,
Hmm.
expert or being in the parcel side, you really have to see that there's a lot of lack of transparency out there. There's a lot of, again, antiquated systems that people are on, and we want to make sure that if you're going to be on the tech side, that you're going to be. I'm super excited every day what I get to do.
Hmm.
I wake up and when I have 3 demos on my calendar, I'm like, "Yes, I get to demo," because I
You have to
know
be
it
excited about the product. Yeah.
100%,
Mhm.
and when I know that I'm gonna be my software every day when that, operator or that executive comes in and pulls up Reveal's dashboard, and they can see what they need to see in order to
Mhm.
have their meeting and talk to their people,
Mhm.
and their people are managing their parcel like they've never managed before, that's that's what you wanna look for. You wanna look for
Mhm.
something that is really gonna change the way that people work,
Mhm.
and then I'm satisfied because I know I'm doing something and it kinda goes back to Savii Group and that powered by purpose, and because I
Yeah.
feel like I'm doing something purposeful,
Mhm.
and, that just continues to drive me to do what I get to do every day.
So that's kind of your motivation, and that's something to
100%.
really point out here is that you've really looked for purpose and impact on every pivot that you've made, no matter what it is. And you can find it in a variety of different places and a variety of different career paths within supply chain. So I just want
100%.
to
Yeah.
pause there and note that because I think that
Yeah,
that's
it's true.
super, super important. Now, I love talking to the team at Reveal. I had Josh on the show, episode 357. If you haven't gone to listen, go and listen or watch that episode because we talked about business intelligence. But there's a lot of conversation in supply chain about data and technology and business intelligence. What's your perspective on this? Because I think for a lot of supply chain professionals in teams, thinking about how much technology is, you know, in the industry and out there, and they don't want to make a mistake. right? They want to work with the right partners and the right technology and all that kind of stuff. What would you say to them? And what's your perspective on how the industry is talking about data and technology and business intelligence?
It's exciting because people are starting to get out of a fear-based mindset,
Hmm.
and they're willing to actually see what is out there and experience what's out there. And
Hmm.
it's tough because when you have entire teams, at least from Reveal's vantage point, when you have entire teams that are used to doing business and running their business on Excel or in certain tools,
Hmm.
and those tools are built into their business practices, it is hard and it is
But what
uh,
happens when they leave?
well, yeah,
Just
and
saying,
100%. And
right?
there goes all your business intelligence.
Yeah.
And we are in a place right now where data transformation has to happen, and we have to do things smarter. And again, I mentioned using AI as a force for good, and being more understanding about how can we be more prescriptive
Hmm.
and predictive.
Yeah.
This is the wave. This is what
Right.
excites me again about Reveal. I mean, when we started and launched the software, we took into consideration what do shippers want,
Yeah.
what do companies want, and they want a tool. They want something they can use
Hmm.
every day, come in at their fingertips, and have real time information so they can make better business
Yeah.
decisions. And that's what excites me. That's what's transformative, and that's what more and more we're seeing companies get out of that fear-based mindset and willing to try something. And
Hmm.
I just, software is the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you also proclaimed earlier on in this conversation that you are a parcel fanatic.
Yeah.
Have you always been a parcel fanatic?
Not always, because remember, boots on the ground with freight
I
forwarding,
know.
right? But I always go
And we
back.
didn't always have e-commerce though. I
No,
mean, let's be real.
no, no.
In our careers.
But in final mile after, during COVID and after COVID, so I think the parcel fanatic came, maybe only 4 or 5 years ago, but I've always loved it because it's always been, again, lack of transparency, super dynamic, changing all the
Hmm.
time. Companies having to try to manage their parcel spend, manage visibility to what's going on. It's always been elusive. And so I guess I try to, I don't know, seem like I chase that a little bit more. But that parcel fanatic thing only came about 4 or 5 years ago, but I love it
Well, it's
because
during
it's
the
true.
pandemic, right? Because we all got a ton of parcels delivered to our home. I don't know about
Yes.
you. I
Yeah.
waited, I don't know, 10 months for a couch.
Yeah.
But I
No, you're,
decided to order smaller parcels in between,
oh,
just,
yeah. Oh, yeah. The
to keep
Amazon
myself
effect came.
occupied.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I totally, totally get that. But one thing in your career is you have been on a lot of boards. So talk to us about that experience. I've talked to a lot of younger professionals in supply chain that want to get onto boards. And one of the reasons why they come to me is we have a nonprofit called Blended Pledge, and we have volunteers and committee chairs and all that kind of stuff. And it's exciting to see that they're coming to me
Hmm.
and saying, how do I get involved? How do we start
Yeah.
that part of our career path?
Yeah.
Because it is really important as a supportive role to our career, but also for the networking as well. It's a very different experience. I don't know about you, but I also, the Forum for International Trade Training in Ottawa, that's where I started my board experience. And I was very young at the time. And they took a chance on me to be part of the board. And I think I did 3 terms and I just ended that term with them. But man, did I learn a lot about how to speak within a board setting,
Mhm.
governance.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much to learn. So talk to us about why that's been so important to you. Maybe what some of those board roles were and how you think other people or maybe even young professionals could get involved.
So it is one of those things that you have to really, I'd say, observe first
Hmm.
because you understand it's a lot. There
Oh, I
is,
got thrown in.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't
You
think
have
I
to.
spoke for the first 4 meetings.
You probably wouldn't want to
No.
actually. It is a bit daunting, I think, for
Hmm.
young professionals. I did not do that when I
Hmm.
was younger. I did
Okay.
that as more mature
And
professional.
after being in corporate America
Yeah,
as well, right? That would
yeah,
have helped too.
100%.
Hmm.
So I think you have to almost be careful what you are seeking and observe first for those young professionals, but someone that's more, in the middle of their career or still wants to be engaging
Hmm.
towards the end of their career, it's great because that expert, I always was drawn to boards that could leverage my expertise.
Right.
So, whether it was a supply chain or whether it was something in the community, that's where I spent a lot of my time. And
Yeah.
I sought out things I was passionate about.
Hmm.
So don't just jump into any board just because someone's
Hmm.
asking you to be on a board. Do your
Right.
research,
Hmm. So
understand
true.
what board work is, come talk to me. Hit me up
Hmm.
on
Or
LinkedIn. I
me.
could, yeah, we can tell you all about it. But I would say it's really important just to not jump into
Hmm.
something that you don't find passionate, that you haven't sit in
Hmm.
and just say nothing if you're invited in,
Yeah.
which is really the best way is to be invited. I think everything that I've just thought out so far, I've
Hmm.
been invited in, but I'd like to later in my career do a little bit more where I'm seeking a board
Hmm.
out just because I feel there's a passion there. So
Well,
yeah,
and also from an impact standpoint, there's a lot of nonprofits that need
yeah,
supply
of
chain expertise.
course, yeah,
So, really, you don't need to be on a board to do that.
no,
You could just contact them
volunteer,
and
yeah,
volunteer and ask them if they need some supply chain expertise. There's a lot of to do with food insecurity that needs some supply chain expertise. When hurricanes happen and different things like that, there's a lot of moving parts with logistics. So if you have that expertise and you have some time, you can reach out to those organizations and use your knowledge for good as
absolutely,
well. And it doesn't take a lot.
yeah.
Just takes maybe a phone call to see what they need and how you can help, or maybe you're not the right person. You can put them on to somebody else, right?
And just to add on to that, we do need the next gen of supply chain professionals and women to have a voice and understand that they can contribute. And so not only if you are not on a board today, just volunteering and getting your voice
Right.
and building from that is so
Mhm.
important because we need these next gen of supply chain professionals really are going to be running supply chain here in a
Yes.
very short time.
A
So
very, very
yeah.
short time. Now, I have to ask you this question. I'm not sure how I feel about this question. I've done two blended episodes on mentorship and sponsorship and reverse mentorship and like so much mentorship. And I know that it is important, but I think sometimes we get a little too wrapped up in it. I don't know if it's because of my journey and how when I started, I didn't really have mentors. It wasn't really a thing that we talked about. I think that it is important, but I think there's also a difference between sponsorship and mentorship. If you haven't listened to that blended episode, go and listen to it because there's an important difference. There's also advocacy. And so those three things are very different. You need different people to be those things for you. But I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
So, have you had a mentor? If you haven't had a mentor, what do you think about mentorship? And then also, how do you feel about mentoring young professionals now, given the fact that you make so much impact and you're so passionate about the industry? What do you think about all that?
I have not ever had a mentor. And I love mentoring.
Okay.
Um, I love this question. It's something I am passionate about. I want to give back. And again, I talked about the next gen of supply chain professionals, and I do think that is the generation that got mentorship.
Hmm.
My son's looking for jobs right now. Any job that he's looking at, where they say we train and you get a mentor when you come. I mean, this isn't the job description. I'm like, oh, apply for this one. You get a mentor day one. Just, I think it's really valuable where someone, I mean, like we talked about people taking a chance on us.
Hmm.
I don't know that that's mentorship, but someone took a chance on us, and that's as close as I could give anything to someone saying,
Hmm.
this is a mentor. But I think it's really important. Highly advocate for it. I find personal gratification from mentoring. People have approached me to be. I mean, it's so flattering. I'm thinking, what do they think that I'm going to give them out of all this? And when I ask them that question, some of the feedback that they get, of course, networking, understanding what the real world. I mean, there's lots of things that they're pulling out of me that they find value. So it's completely
I
rewarding.
do ask them to do a task though, because I have to make sure that if we're going to put in that time, that they're serious about it too, and that they're going to show up to a call. Because I've had a few instances where they don't show up,
Oh yeah,
and that just doesn't help anybody,
no.
right? So I think there's ways of also doing it. Again, I talk about it in the blended episodes. Go check those out.
Yes.
What advice do you have for supply chain professionals currently today? Let's say maybe young professionals looking to have a career like yours in supply chain.
Don't be afraid of reinvention. Completely be curious. And at the end of the day, someone will take a chance on you. Someone will help you along the way. And don't be afraid to ask for help and to leverage your network
Mm-hmm.
and build your network. Keep building your personal brand.
Mm-hmm.
Keep trying to reinvent in a way that drives your passion and makes you feel that every day you wake up, like I get to wake up for Reveel,
Yes.
excited to share something that maybe will change the way that that company works,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the way you work inside your company. So I'd say don't just stay stagnant. And right now,
There's
tech,
opportunity everywhere.
there's opportunity everywhere. And I
Yeah.
think for supply chain professionals, the tech side is
Mm-hmm.
going to be so exciting. We're going to get to witness this
Yeah.
from kind of the old ways to now the new ways
Yeah.
of doing things. So I definitely say we're on a trajectory, some really cool
Awesome.
things.
It's exciting to be in supply chain. Now, final question for you.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for Gina?
I said last night, like 7.0, lucky number 7. Again, Reveal and their software is so game changing that it's really going to take me, hopefully, to the final, swan song, they say. But yeah, the journey holds for me to continue to be in this industry. I love it. I don't ever see leaving it, and I want to continue to be, thought leader and advocate and whatever I can do to stay, I don't know, energized and continue to drive my purpose.
Are you okay if I share your fun fact?
Oh my gosh, go ahead. Share
Because
my
I
fun
think
fact.
we are moving towards Porsche lady over here and her need for speed. Tell everybody your goal.
Well, we did introductions in our little group dinner chat last night, and everyone was talking about, a fun fact. And I just said I have a need for speed. It's downplayed a little bit more now that the kid, once you have kids and stuff. But
Yeah.
I love Porsches, and as soon as life settles a little bit, I'm going to join Porsche Club of America.
Yeah, you
And I'm
are.
going to go all over the world and race Porsches and have fun with people that love to do the same thing I do.
So Porsche Supply Chain, if you are listening,
Yes.
Gina is your girl, and she'll be joining you soon as part of the Porsche Club because she's got a need for speed, and that's our fun fact for today. Gina, I have loved talking to you. Now, I do have to let everybody know the answer to the big question. So, did you have a guess? Well, at the top of the show, I asked you, what is the total value of savings Reveel has created for their clients? Well, it's a huge $400 million. They manage over $8 billion worth of transportation spend and offer an average cost savings potential of 22%. Huge numbers.
Let's go.
So if you want to talk to her, you need to reach out to Gina
Yes.
on LinkedIn. Gina, thank you so much
Thank you, Sarah,
for joining me here for the Woman in Supply Chain series.
I love what you do. And happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.